That's good. Average 3 days, 10 a game, shoot for 15 games this week. Coaching. Want to improve to be a strong tank for college esports, more strong and ranked. Working on understanding, decision making, too much mindless gameplay, lack of focus, etc. Okay, so elaborate on any of those points there. So when you're struggling to improve, what's coming to mind?
Well, sometimes I just feel off. And when I sit down at the computer and I know that I'm gonna have a good gaming session today, I'm usually correct. It just like feels very like inconsistent. Where if I'm like focused, I do feel like I almost always win. I have a really high win rate,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not like I ever really sit down to grind ranked one, which I definitely a habit I should be fixing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I need to get more hours in for sure. But I have like this very bad inconsistency, I could say, yeah.
Yeah, I understand. I think the way to look at it is like if you're inconsistent with your playtime, you'll be inconsistent with your gameplay, more inconsistent with your gameplay. What
Mm-hmm.
might happen though is that you avoid playing because sometimes you feel that like there are going to be it's going to be a bad day, so why play, right?
Right.
Well, it's because your job is not to play consistently on those days. Your job is to just practice. You don't have to perform well for the value of that game to be useful. So
That's true.
if you're trying to improve your consistency and then you avoid playing because you play inconsistently, well, you're feeding into that loop, right? Now, again, between you and me, like you'll always have issues with inconsistency. That is unavoidable, completely unavoidable, right?
Right.
Everyone has issues. The pros even more so, honestly. But
Mm,
you don't give it power by changing your schedule around it. You just play. If you have a bad day, like, oh, I'm not going to play super well today, I can just feel it. So what? You can still drill. You could still drill your bubble placement. You could still drill your setup phase. You could still drill your primal mechanics, right? That's all that you're really there for. You just need to show
right.
up. You just need to show up. That's it.
Right. That makes
That's it.
sense.
Yeah. And I know it might be hurt because it's like, well, I don't want to throw a bunch of rank games. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Long term, that decision to commit to that is going to be so much better for your relationship with the game, but also your rank as well, ironically. So just show up, play. I see you train a little bit of MMA. Imagine if you're like, oh, I don't feel super fast today. I'm just not going to show up to class, right? Like, well, you might suck, but you should still train. It's still good, like for
Right.
the long term, right? So I think that that's maybe where there's a little bit too much. I don't want to say ego, but like you want to only put your best foot forward, and then therefore you don't even show up half the time. And I think that ironically is preventing your foot from growing. All right, so just show up. Just show up
Right.
and
Right. I get
practice.
what you
Whether
mean.
just show up and practice. And then obviously when you show up to practice, you should know what you are practicing. And I guess that's what we're here for. Okay. I
Right.
don't have any other questions. Do you want to look at some gameplay?
Sure. Let's see. I have two codes here. I was having a bit of a problem last night trying to get footage because I've been warm. I think I didn't play in like 2 days, so I didn't feel like any of the footage, as stupid as it sounds, like I didn't feel like any of the footage was like me warm. So I do have this
Yeah,
new Bonnie game.
that's fine.
Here we go. I think, yeah, this is probably the best. I just recently watched your video on tank play, and I found that really helpful, by the way.
Good. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it.
On trying to like reduce the amount of damage I take. That I definitely think I have.
Mm-hmm.
So the code is 92AYKN.
Okay. Oops. Okay. Let's take a look here. So is this just a recent game? No particular reason you grabbed it?
Yeah. One I got to play Winston throughout. Simply, yeah, I got to play Winston throughout. And I also feel I just was making a like constantly that
So I'm losing you just
constantly
a
go
little
go go.
bit.
Can't like freaking the action.
You're cutting in and out just a little bit on my end. I'm not sure if it's Discord or the internet. Can you still hear me?
Oh, here we go.
Testing, testing. You good on your end?
All right, there we go. Hello?
Yeah, you good?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries, no worries, no worries. So you were saying you were able to play Winston throughout this game, but then you were elaborating on that as well.
Uh, yeah, so I was able to play Winston throughout the game, so that's one thing. I also feel like this is a good map to review because of how good of a Winston map this is with the really like kind of awkward high ground at the start with that first fight.
Yep.
I remember this first fight we kind of had like an awkward win because somebody ended up feeding, so I kind of got like a easier route. But I've just
Sure.
always been confused attacking on this map. I know that's a universal problem because this map itself is confusing to attack,
Yep.
but
Yep.
like
Okay. We could talk
I'm
about it.
just like yeah, I just like can't understand like the patience of this map. Yeah.
Yeah, totally understandable. We'll take a look here.
Oh yeah, something else I mentioned like I just like have a problem with being like go 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 go. Like I can't find like that break in the action.
Yeah, that's a big one with Winston. So, what I like to fill the void with the go 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 when you don't have bubble is before I have bubble, can I put myself in the absolute best possible position so that when I do have bubble, I crush it, whether it's with my setup or moving or whatever else. And we'll talk about that as we see it.
Okay. Yeah,
So
hero's a bit like anxious.
yeah,
No
yeah.
info.
I like this engage here. Now, I would say I'd probably wait about 2 seconds before I do that. So, like, you can check your team's positioning here. Your team needs to turn the corner first. So, like, let them get to here, then make your commitment. So that then your team has like a little bit more space to work with, if that makes sense. So just timing of this is just about a full second or two a little early. But I think this is good. Get the Life Weaver out. Force Echo out. Lucio here. Just stay inside your bubble. You can't zap anything, so you might as well just stay inside your bubble. And that's kind of one of those moments where you should just do nothing. This death is completely unnecessary just because of the amount of damage that you took. So you're in, you force him out, you chill, and then what do you do from here? Your bubble's broken, but you have your jump. What do you think?
I could drop to the room right below me.
You could jump back to your team. You could jump over to here, grab the mega or hide. I just want you to think, where is my safe disengage? You didn't really have a disengage plan. And then when I see this, you need to be running. You need to be running, not face thinking that without a bubble, right? So it's a high value uptime followed by a really, really ugly downtime. And I actually say it's ugly, not just low value, because you actually forced your Kiriko to follow you and then didn't do anything with it but die. So if your Kiriko, and then your Kiriko loses that one as well. So like that's a big problem. You get a lot of value, you chill, and you set up again.
Right. Okay.
That's the gameplay loop. And then what you're doing when you're doing nothing is you're not just literally doing nothing. You're thinking, where do I go? How do I set up? What should I do next, right? Okay, so let's see here. Your team is with you. This is good. Obviously, she feeds, but either way, it works. Bubble here is good. You block the boop. Good zap, good zap, good zap, good zap, good zap. Just chill, just chill, just chill. And then now you need to make a decision. I don't have bubble.
Right.
So should I chill or do I see an opportunity that I don't think I'll get punished for? And I think here, you see an opportunity. You could go for it if you want to. I think there you could absolutely jump on the Lucio because he's not going to punish you for not having bubble. Same thing here. Like, this is not normally something that you'd want to do, but they're down a bunch and you have a lot of armor and he's isolated and there you go. So it was fine. Okay, we're just going to kind of zoom here because there's no point wasting your time and there's not a whole lot to say. Okay, so we know where this fight's going to happen. So what is the optimal setup for an engage for you with what you see here?
So okay, this fight's probably gonna take like right there on bus. So I want to be able to take an angle. This map does have a lot of high ground, so I'm assuming I can go right side
Like here?
or down there, walk around.
Yep, you could as well. I think this option here, you jump here, you zap, you can then walk around from here. Totally fine. This is also fine as well. I think the only problem with this here is it's like if you take top, you can have the information, then you can actually reach these targets. Or you could even come from this side, right? You could take the angle here. I want to go for Soldier Lucio. So what's the best engage I can get to where it's going to be harder for them to kite me, or I'll take less damage on the entry? You see what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So how do I approach this here? And I think what you do here is okay, but could have obviously been a little bit better. Don't have bubble, but you're allowed to keep going. Why?
Because of my LOS, I don't really have anybody lasering into me, and I still have my armor.
You still have your armor, and it's a Lucio. And he's isolated.
Right.
Right. So normally this is not good. You went to AFK, but this, you're fine. See, this is fine. Right? This is risky, but it's worth the risk. You got Primal. Let's go.
Right.
And it's not a surprise how this works, right? You had follow-up. You set up relatively well. Now here I would be... yeah. I mean, the bubble's a little late, honestly. But yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
I really wanted to kill that Echo.
Understandable.
Yeah.
You don't have time to set up for backline. You immediately bubble off tank. This is fine. Now get out. This is where you just need to be more comfortable with, I don't have the HP or resources to do anything. I am wasting my time right now. Not just wasting my time, but you know what the real ADHD pain is? Sitting in spawn. Okay? So if you don't want to, if you want to do something, don't die. Okay? Don't die. Yeah. Right? So doing this is crazy because you're like, oh, I want to get a little zaps in here. You're 92 HP. Holy crap.
Right. Again, like I feel like I'm constantly like in my mind I have to be doing something. So that one in my head there, that was me getting ult charge.
Yes, so, yes, but right, and ult charge to the point.
The death.
Right, a lot of ult charge, and death is the ultimate ult charge killer, right? Not just for you, but also for your supports as well. So, okay, let's see your setup here. I think, again, you have options here. I think you can go top right, set up your engage onto them there, or, again, take top left or bottom left. You have angles to approach. Okay. Let's go. Sure. Good stuff, right? Get on the backline, get top. Bubble timing was good. You also didn't take damage on entry. You notice that? So you're cooking. And heck, you could even keep going even though you don't have bubble here. Yeah, nicely done. Nicely done. Really well done. Good stuff. No complaints. If there's nothing to say, we won't say anything. See, it's like the ADHD coaching. Just say something when you shouldn't be saying something.
Yeah.
Now, this is the ADHD solution. Okay, right? You absolutely should be doing something right now. But the question is what should you be doing right now?
Nothing. Waiting. Setting up.
Yeah, that's the answer we want. And why is that so important right now? Because it's not an easy setup. At least not the one I'm thinking. Where should you be?
I should try to be taking this high ground so I can get ready to drop.
And you need to go now. In fact, you should have gone 2 seconds ago. It's honestly like the longer you stay here, the worse it's going to be. You need to get here so that then 3, 2, 1 bubble drop so that you can actually let your team follow up off of this. Like you need to be there now, right? And then obviously maybe disengage out this way, rinse. Honestly, actually you have primal, so like even better, right? It's perfect. But where are you? Right? Like the funny thing is that this time you actually do nothing. You actually did nothing, but you actually shouldn't have been doing nothing. You should have been setting up.
I get it. Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So use that downtime. Use that downtime. And then obviously here it's like, I think we recognize where we need to be too late. So then by the time that we want to take the angle, it's too late, right? The angle is now being marked.
Right.
So like this isn't terrible. Like you do create a little bit of space. I probably would have preferred no primal here. Why?
Yeah. Just because there's no commitment right now. There's no like.
Right. There's just any follow up, right?
In the corner.
Yeah. I don't think you needed it. I think you could jump out, play your life, or jump out, play your life, and then actually set up a better primal with bubble. But yeah, it's like, you know, you're gonna create space here. But if something doesn't die like now, it's over. Okay, that's good. We're gonna just get that. Okay. Yeah. It's not that doing nothing is required. It's that when you're doing nothing, a lot of times you should be setting up instead of doing damage. That's the difference.
Okay.
And I think it's even just the brain power required to set up properly is difficult, right? Like it takes a lot of thinking sometimes to solve the problem. Like right now, you're thinking about ram. And to be fair, this fight is probably pretty much lost. But really, you need to be thinking, where do I need to be right now?
Set up, right.
Right? Where do I want to, and what is the answer? Where do you go?
At this stage in the fight, I'm pretty sure I'm down some teammates.
But you're getting just
Normally
blading.
what I would, right. I remember this blade. I remember he committed dash, and I remember he's only swinging on Ramatra, and there's no one really near him. So in my head, I'm kind of like, all right, he messed up, let him die.
Well, then why don't you just die with him? You know what I'm saying? Or either that or fully
Right.
disengage, right? So either you need to fully commit out here, or you know what? Walk. You have 2 seconds and jump, right? So what you do here is you get here, bam, right? By the time that you get to this corner, you'll have jump and bubble, and maybe you force beat, right? You're gonna lose this fight, but maybe you can force beat, right? Instead, you're like, oh, I'm gonna stand here and alt fire and let alt fire and drop a bubble, and I'm gonna jump in without bubble, and then it's like what? Like this Lucio is like, first off, okay, I don't know what this guy's doing, right? Right, like that's insane, but that's just poor setup from you, right? Poor setup. Like you could have actually forced the beat. Like you could have really gotten the beat here. You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you mean, yeah.
Take that downtime to find the angle. Take that downtime to find the angle here. So you're still waiting on your venture here. What do you think?
Well, wait for my venture, but I do think this angle is good. Maybe I should have played a little bit lower on coastline. I think,
Yeah.
no, I think this is good because this gives me the most information.
I think so too. I think so too. If they respond to you here, your team's going to be able to walk out of main really easily. If they don't respond to you here, you're going to get a really crispy engage. So they are responding. Cassie is actually rotating away from you. But this is good. This is what we want. So you're set up. You have your jump. You have your HP. I prefer the jump on Weaver just because of the nature of the character's healing and pedal and pull, right? And your team just gets annihilated by a surprise Death Blossom. But that's not your problem. This is a good engage. It's a bad target, but it's a good engage. Okay. Any questions so far?
Suppose not. I'm just trying to like find like my big like problem right now, like my like overshining issue.
What are you thinking it is? Maybe it's something. Maybe it's not as obvious as you think. But what are some things that we've seen so far?
I think just from what you're saying, I'm thinking about like finding that time, like and finding it quick to set up an angle, be ready for my like basically go next.
It's not doing nothing actually. There's been a little bit too much of doing nothing. But like, what's the next step, right?
Right.
Like you just took space with this. Okay, so now what's the next step? Where are they at? Okay, they're here. I'm gonna zap. Oh, nice.
Delaying my bubble here.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of unlucky there, right? That's super unfortunate, right? You need to be on him sooner. But the actual setup for the engage, while not complicated, was good, right? There's really just not a whole lot to say. I would say the mistake here is just committing the primal. The reason why I think it's a mistake is just because this is 2 CP, right?
Yeah.
It's just it's Numbani late defense spawns and it's a 2-2 trade. I wouldn't mind this if maybe you were only down 1, but yeah, this is not gonna happen. Okay, but hey, you know what? Good trade. And I respect the swap.
Yeah, let's go ahead and skip this part.
No, I want to see you pop off. I want to see you pop off. It's actually, I will say, it's actually a pretty good swap. Like this is a pretty good hero for the matchup. Pretty good hero for the point.
Yeah, that was the main thing. The point, like, if there's a bit more high ground, I've been committing a lot lately to just Winston and Ramatra because I feel like those are like consistently great heroes for the meta. And I am practicing for my college team.
Yeah, understandable. Yeah, I think Ram would have been fine here. Excuse me, too.
Yeah, I just thought the Malgo was a little too strong.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, this is fine. Okay, let's keep going here. So more Winston, and let's see how we do. let him come out, let him come out, let him come out. Get a nice bit of cleaver. You can jump that once you see Reaper. Okay, so they're not really committing, and neither are you. I appreciate that. This is really when you do need patience, right? Because you are already set up. Now, really all it is just about waiting. I wouldn't necessarily jump him. I might even do a predictive jump on backline here, just based off of what you can hear.
Plus, I get LOS the Ram, yeah.
But you leave him. Who cares? He's basically dead, and you're more concerned about like what if this Ana comes out and lands a big anti-nade, right? Always prioritize the immediate threat when you can choose a target. Unless you can guarantee the kill now. Because even if you kill the Reaper, you could still lose the fight, right? Because he's not going to be a threat for 15 seconds. So you might as well put pressure elsewhere. All right.
Okay, instead of trying to like go for the punish.
Right. If the punish is convenient, then go for the punish. If the punish is inconvenient, then just let it go. That person's basically killed themselves, right? They're out of the fight.
That makes sense. Okay.
Set up.
In a second, yeah, I jump over to the opposite high ground here, so I can be ready to drop on the back line.
But do you notice that you didn't do it quickly enough? What are you doing instead?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Yeah.
Absolutely nothing, right? So we need more ADD. ADD with your setup.
Priority.
Not with your all fire, right? Because now it's too late. You need to be on this Ana now, right? Because she's committed. And you instead have already used your jump to set up, but it's too late. This is like investing in your 401k retirement plan at the age of 67, right? It's a little late for that, right? That should have happened, at least 15, 20 years prior to that. Now you're here, and it is a good setup engage, but it's too late. See, that hurts. I have no critiques of how you set up or who you win on or your bubble or anything. It was perfect if it had been done 3 seconds sooner. That's the difference.
I'm missing that go. Okay.
You're missing that go. Womp womp. Rock. Instant death. Yeah.
I think that actually is like a problem I have from lack of practice because a lot of it's just in my head. So when I'm taking that second, it's not because I'm like I didn't think to do it or I'm lazy. I guess it is because I didn't think to do it. I literally had to like think about it.
Well, you and me both, right? Like whenever I'm playing, when I'm looking at a VOD review, give me 5 seconds, I can tell you where anybody at any point in time should be positioned. Put me in the game, well, I'm too slow. You're just too slow, right? Like, well, that's okay. That's okay. If that's the problem, if the problem is that the thinking is happening, it's just happening too slow, then you just need reps, right? My problem is sometimes when the thinking isn't happening at all. Case in point, third point, when the life weaver, you should have been rotating and setting up. And even worse, when the thinking is not happening because you're doing something not meaningful, like throwing alt fire, or like hiding on corner, or taking an engage without bubble, right? That's what it needs to be. When there's noise that's getting in the way of thinking about setup, that's the problem. Like by the way, this is brilliant. This is really good. I love this. This is really good. If you're gonna recontest this is how it's gonna be. Okay, don't have bubble. Bubble's broken. Disengage. Play my life. Get a chance. Where do I need to go? Where do I need to go? Where do I need to go? That's unfortunate with the vortex, but you know what? You did a good job. And because you actually were patient with this, you're gonna force 2 ults out. You're gonna force 2 ults out, which I would take that and have a faster recontest, than have a faster recontest. So this is good.
Yeah, strategically, I've never considered that, like forcing ults.
Yeah, it's niche. I think your far just gets 1 shot. Or no, 2 shot. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, this is fine.
This trolling. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, see, this is again. It's like I think you're like, oh, he doesn't have Wraith, but like again, this just isn't a super great setup engage. Like, and you obviously needed to like get on him entirely, because if he, it sucks. Now you're super out of position, and I know what's gonna happen now. Primal, but you're not gonna get anything with this primal. I will eat my hat if you get a kill out of this primal.
Come on.
Okay, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. That doesn't count.
That counts.
No. I don't have a hat. Sorry, sucks to suck. But yeah, I think this is where, like, I don't think chasing the Reaper was a bad play. You just needed to actually secure the kill, because if you don't want to secure the kill here, you need to set up. So then where do you set up? Let's say the Reaper's not here. What do you do?
High ground.
High ground, right. Take the top left, so then you can just either commit on a jump engage here, or you can just let them pass and then drop on top of them and save your jump. And then the primal's lethal, because the engage will be so good, you will force TP, or Suzu, or sleep, or nade, which then will allow you to primal successfully. You understand? Like, you need a good engage from good positioning so that your ultimates can secure kills.
Yeah, I think that's, again, like part of the problem that you mentioned earlier, where I should maybe start to focus the aggression opposed to the punish, if the punish isn't exactly there.
Set up your immediate value, right? Like, set up your just neutral engage value that isn't relying off of maybe I can go chase the kill. Just go get the kill. Set up. What's the best engage to go kill backline? Go do that.
Right, okay. And now that you mentioned it, I do kind of remember that problem in my scrims. Except I wasn't able to put a name to it, so that's helpful.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't seen a ton of it, but it is worth pointing out here. Like, right now, like, where do you need to be? As soon as you possibly can.
Top left.
Top left again, right? So top left again. So then you can mark the Reaper, or then you can set up a stage for backline. Like, again, here, it feels like you're probably going to chase this Reaper again, but I'm like, just deal with backline. Like, you need to be here dealing with backline or trading or something. Like,
I tried to jump and I got hit with the Ramatri.
yeah, it happens, but like, that sucks that we didn't get a bubble trade there, right? Like, your Farah dies because there's no bubble trade. Because she, right? Like, this, we need pressure on this backline. There's no pressure on this backline, so your Farah just dies, right? Play Winston, you know? Play Winston. Set up. Stop playing like patty cake with the Reaper and Ram, you know? Like, even now, get the frick off of main. I start the stage, don't throw alt fire, walk instead, right? Walk instead. If you run into the far edge, she still barrages you and you die, sure. But you start to think about it, but now you're like, I don't have time.
Now I have no time, yeah.
Now I have no time. Now I have no time, and now your engage sucks, and you lose the fight. Because you're right. Like, you didn't have time. You really didn't. You had to go, but you would have had time if you'd taken the time to set up beforehand.
Right.
And that's where it's like, if the problem is inexperience, or like I'm just slow at making these decisions, then it's totally fine. You just need more practice. But if the problem is that you forget, or you don't think until it's too late, then that's where you need to be a little bit more decisive on yourself. And I will say as well, like, you don't even need to do this every single fight. Like, nobody's perfect with practice, but I would encourage you to try and aim for like 60% of these fights. I'm going to remember to set up. Not just on my first engage, but when I do my engage, nice toggle there. When I do my engage, set up for the next one, right? Where do I go? Like, right now, you're just chilling, but really, is this the best you got for me? I know your Farah's dead, but like, what do you think?
Oh, yeah, no, I was lagging here. I remember, yeah.
Okay. So minus the lag here.
Hence the toggling. Yeah, you might want to skip like a minute, because I just gave up space here.
No, you're taking space. You're breaking new foundations of Winston play that we didn't think was possible. Okay, let's say that you weren't lagging here. What would you be investing your time into?
I'd probably be walking right around coast.
Yeah, take it around coast. I actually think even better here is to set up top versus their comp. I don't think anybody can chase you. So like, once they get to here, like right here, take top left. See if Reaper chases you or Farah chases you. Keep deepening, keep running. And then honestly, you could even set up an engage here. And if they don't chase you, well, then you just have a free drop. Your other option here, like you said, is to go coast. Set up 3, 2, 1. You can walk. Bam. But you see, that's slow. That takes a while to set up. So obviously you're lagging here, which is the main problem. So we'll let that go.
Oh yeah, right. Like,
I mean, honestly, like, you are doing things. Like, you know, like, I mean, I can't hate, you know, like, you know, you this is the best laggy Winston I've ever seen in my life. Wait, you swap here? Yeah, understandable. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is going to be about like, okay, so let's take some notes here. So Winston. ADHD. It's not just doing nothing. And I know I've said that before. I know I have said, you know, doing nothing is really important. It's about investing thought and time into setting up your next engage between bubble cycles. It's not just doing nothing, but it's about doing something that's very valuable so that when you do cash out, you're going to be ready. It's going to be a perfect setup, right?
Right.
instead of just playing main, tossing alt fire, etc. If you already have the setup and the setup is really good and you just want to alt fire, I'm okay with that. It's not that alt fire is bad. It's just don't do alt fire when you could be doing other things, right? Don't be doing alt fire when you could be doing other things. Okay. And then we were also talking a little bit about like, don't just think about punishing mistakes, CDs, set up your own selfish value. Don't chase, invest, if that makes sense. Kind of like Reapers use Wraith, let's go finish the kill. No. He's eliminated himself. Go. What's your engage? Where do you need to be? Who do you need to go
Right, okay.
on? Anything else?
Yeah,
Anything
I did
else?
have one question. I feel like when I watch like high level, like again, I know this is organized play. Like when I watch pro gameplay, that's something I like to do. I like to watch
Mm-hmm.
people like Someone or
Mm-hmm.
any
Mm-hmm.
June Bean or Smurf, whatever. I like to watch pro games from their perspective. I
Yep.
just can't understand it. Like to me, it just looks like they're in main. They sit in main, and then they just play Reinhardt until they
Yeah.
die.
So basically, what happens is in higher levels, people are way better at controlling and marking off angles, so they will mark you on staging consistently. Dive mirror, you're going to run to a tracer every single time. So you're thinking, can I trade with the enemy Winston on a corner? Can I alt fire the tracer and avoid her angle? Let me actually see if I can find. I have a video where we basically break down. Um, there was a Winston coaching session I did a long time ago where we broke down Winston Overwatch.
Yeah.
And we looked at some. Yeah, I found it. This might be helpful for you. If anybody is going back and watching this video in the future, it's called Diamond Winston Coaching: What Grandmasters Get Wrong. And take a look at that, and that might basically the TLDR is that like when you're seeing pro Winstons play, first off, they're playing versus tanks that they're more favorable on the frontline trade versus they're still controlling slight off angles, if not necessarily hard flanking. And because they're not hard flanking, because every single angle is marked by DPS every single time, all the time.
Right.
Tracer, Sombra, Genji, Reaper, whatever. Whereas you're playing versus a Lifeweaver, Echo, Ram on Numbani.
Right.
And every single flank basically that you want is for free. So, and that's the ranked norm, right? People play more poke rotation, whatever. So you have a lot more space to rotate to. If you're playing dive mirrors, take the front line trade, get some cleave, play the corner, play the angle, right? But I still need to be asking yourself, if I'm taking a frontline trade in a dive mirror, then what's the best angle or what's the best corner for me to do so between bubble cycles? So you're still setting up. You just might not be flanking. That's the difference.
Okay. I think next time I would like to get like a dive mirror game in then.
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. I'd be 100% down. Very, very interesting. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, actually, that was my next question. I have no idea how to play Winston in a dive. So what I'll normally do is actually kind of what you mentioned in a way. I'll play like a lot of like front line, like a lot more front liney, like corners. And then I'll trade diving cooldowns with the enemy tank. So
Yep.
let's just say like
Sure.
Winston or Diva.
Sure.
When I see the boosters, when I see the jump is usually my cue to dive onto their backline, and then we'll go in kind of like a trade.
Yep, sure. If the backline's accessible and you could do so without dying, 100%. 100%. A lot of what you're doing is just trying to control their off angles and pressure their off angles. And then if you get an opportunity to go for backline, you go for backline. That's pretty much it. But the 3-2-1 just diving backline without off angle control might get you killed.
And if I'm not playing dive, what if I'm playing Winston without a full like fledged dive comp?
Backline trade so that your team can win the tank trade. And don't die. Your job is to force more resources than you demand. So like the tank trade video that we mentioned earlier, so that you are being dumped attention, whereas their tank is getting none and not really forcing anything. So you don't need follow-up as Winston to succeed. Your follow-up is just whatever your DPS and supports are shooting at, even if it's just a shield. Just make sure that you're timing your engage correctly so that they can actually do something off of that follow-up.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Last and final question.
Sure.
I feel like I need to build like a consistent schedule now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like that is like one of my bigger issues is that I just don't like playing the game. I like learning about it.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know anything about building a schedule to play, so.
Start small. That's it. We talked about
Yeah.
it earlier. You probably should start with trying to play a little bit every single day
Mhm.
and not necessarily avoiding playing when you feel like you're going to have a bad day. Just get a couple games in, a couple of the goals that we worked on from this one. That's it. That's a great start.
Okay.
Don't try to like just whip out like this regimented 3.5 hour training schedule with a warm up. That's fine if you want to, but you're probably not gonna be able to stick with it. Instead, build the structure slowly, brick by brick by brick.
Okay. Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
You're very welcome. If you have any specific questions about that, like I go like super in detail on video I posted 3 days ago.
Oh yeah, I think I know which one you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah. So
Yeah,
if you want
yeah,
to know
yeah.
like what the actual like time commitment is, that's kind of and like some tips on like committing it, but like that's you might not be there yet, right? Like you might not be there to optimize. Just start small. Start small.
I get what you mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if any specific questions come up, just message me directly, all right?
Awesome. Thank